Good evening and welcome to On the Record, I-24 News' in-depth interview show. Every week, I'll be speaking with key experts and decision makers from Israel and around the region on the core issues concerning the Middle East. But tonight's show is going to be a little different. My guest tonight is a household name in Israel, but that is a status she never hoped for. On August 1st, 2014, she received news that is every parent's nightmare. Her son, 23-year-old Lieutenant Hadar Goldin, was killed in Rafah in an ambush by Hamas militants just 2 hours into a UN-brokered ceasefire, and his body was taken deep into the tunnels of Gaza. He would later become the Israeli who was held the longest inside the Gaza Strip. Just a month before his death in battle, Hadar proposed to his girlfriend with hopes of building a family, but on that fateful day, those dreams were shattered. Instead, my guest found herself thrown into a battle against Hamas, an impossible reality, and at times, also with the Israeli government and military. For 4,118 days, she and her family fought tirelessly to bring her son back home for burial in Israel. 3 months ago, she completed her mission when Hadar's body was located in Gaza and buried in Kfar Saba, a short distance from her home. It's an honor to introduce my guest tonight, Leah Goldin.
Thank you.
Leah, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Look, after that long introduction, the first question I want to ask is, how are you doing?
Fine. I mean, we say we learn how to walk after such a long time of running all time, all day, 24/7. So now we settle down, recalculate our goals, and have a lot to do, you know. We learned a lot, and we feel that we have a lot of responsibility to our country, to our people, and to the world.
One of the posters that was made for the campaign to bring Hadar back read, "There will be no victory without bringing back Hadar Goldin." So now that Hadar is back, do you feel any sense of victory?
Yeah.
And if so, over who?
We feel that we have a great victory over evil. That's my way to express it. To begin with, it's the Hamas. It's the terror organization. It's our fight against terror. But it's not just terror. It's evil. It's evil in the way people react to abduction terror. It's evil in the way people accept it and continue in doing business, because whatever we learned about Gaza along the years is that money talks. Money talks. I mean, either things that are going in, all those trucks, or coming out, and everything, and eventually Abraham Accord, you know? People talk about humanitarian aid and humanitarian support, but if you come down to the basic details, you understand that along the line there is a huge business interest concerning Gaza. And now, looking backward, you know, we had so many opportunities to return Hadar as part of a business, as a guarantee for a business, which should be done according to the law, to the international humanitarian law. But they never let us interfere, you know, like business interests are the most important. And it was quite frustrating at that time, because we had another round of conflict. Again, they were supposed to come to some ceasefire agreement. And remember, Hadar's incident was in violation of
During
a ceasefire.
Yeah.
So everything was, we've been right along the way, and now people admit that we've been right, but it was like, you know, we whistle, but the train continue, in her way, the business train. And I'm afraid that we are facing it again, although we are much relieved because there are no hostages anymore in Gaza, but dealing with terror and with Hamas is still there. And our fight was actually for our values, for our basic values, that no one is left behind.
So it's a victory over evil, but between the lines, it's also a victory over cynics, over naysayers, over financial interests. Unfortunately, these were powers that you were forced
on October 7, when we realized the mass of kidnapping, my son Chemi said, "Mom, as long as business is usual regarding Gaza, the hostages will not return." And still, I feel terrible about this saying. And actually, this happened. We were lucky to have this last agreement, ceasefire agreement, promoted by President Trump, that lucky us, we managed to get all the hostages back as part of this agreement.
Mm-hmm. So part of bringing all the hostages, obviously, it also included identifying and bringing back Hadar. Now, on October 9th, Hadar's body was identified in Israel after it was located a day before inside Gaza. Describe what went through your mind the moment you were told that it is for sure Hadar and he is for sure in Israel.
We've been waiting for this moment so many years, it's years. And along the 24 hours that we've been told that, actually we knew about all this operation for months because the Hamas was playing with the IDF. It was quite difficult, the whole scenario. But once they admitted that Hadar is on his way to Israel, these were the very, very difficult 24 hours, until he was identified. But deep in my heart, we knew this is the end of the story. He's back home. And, still my throat there are no words to describe, you can breathe now. You can breathe. Yeah. And then started the whole ceremony, because people were so happy. We've been told about the funeral, that it was a funeral with hope. For all people, the fact that we win this war over our values, actually, we realized that only after Hadar was identified. People start coming in, and calls, and it was amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Quite the crossing of the finish line after just an endless marathon. I want to move on to your tireless efforts to bring back Hadar. Now, given the understandable sensitivity of such an issue, I would imagine that over the past 11 years, there was an inherent tension between the government and security bodies wanting you to keep quiet, to give them what's called the operational quiet to do what they need to do, and your natural, understandable maternal instinct to do everything in your power to bring back your son's body. So were you at any point instructed by any Israeli official to limit your public statements calling for the release of Hadar?
Yes, definitely yes. For 2 years, we've been silent. People all over, all those official personas told us, if you talk, the price will rise, While by saying that, they mean more terrorists we will have to release more terrorists, while the idea and the concept was that returning hostages is only by releasing a terrorist. Just at the end of the day, the return of Hadar there was no release of no terrorist. And on top of it, no soldier was hurt along this effort of 18 months to bring Hadar. So just keep that in mind. But along the years, we've been regularly told, you should, if we did something, any propaganda or any campaign, because of you, Hadar will not be returned. This was the usual saying.
There were even some officials that said that these calls play into the hands of Hamas.
I know. Yeah, they told us.
Were you told that personally?
Yeah, on a daily basis. There would be someone saying that. But after 2 years, we realized that the only people that want to return Hadar are only his parents and family. No one in Israel had on his schedule any action item to return Hadar and Oron Shaul, of course, and Avera and Isham. So at a certain point, when we visited the European Union and we met European Parliament member, which was leading the Friends of Qatar at that time, and I asked her, it was the time that cash money went into Gaza. I asked her, do you think that $1 or $2 million can bring my son back? And she said, yes, but it's not the Qatar's problem because no one is requesting to return Hadar. And for me, this was a turning point that by saying to us being silent, actually they were silencing themselves by not requesting anything.
I want to ask you, during the period in which Hadar's body was held in Gaza, there were 7 defense ministers, there were 5 IDF chiefs of staff, and except for a year and a half, the prime minister was Benjamin Netanyahu. Did you get the feeling from any of these figures that they did everything in their power to bring Hadar back?
No, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to return Hadar.
Not a single one of
other
all
way
those officials?
Around. Most of the time, they were pushed back any opportunity. The greatest opportunity was during the COVID-19 pandemic, we were promised that no vaccine, nothing will go to Gaza before the return of Hadar and Oron. And you say, why? The whole world is experiencing a humanitarian crisis, and Hadar is part of a humanitarian crisis. Why should they get all this assistance from Israel before they return Hadar and Oron? And we got all these promises, but then yet everything entered into Gaza. Nice, and clearly we had a lot we went to the Supreme Court in a lot of cases, and we win, but
But it never translated to...
It never translated into any action, and I'm afraid that October 7, people told us along the line that if Hadar and Oron would have been returned in the right way, October 7 would not have been happened,
How so?
It's simple as that. Along the years, I said, as long as they keep Hadar, they win, we lose. And when terror wins, they do more and stronger. This was my words. I mean, I couldn't imagine October 7, but, we deal with terror entities and terror supporters. And, they are terrorists. There is no way we can have a dialogue with them using our culture and our language. Because their goals in life is to create humanitarian crisis, to kill us, the Israelis, to kill their own people. I mean, that's what they do. And in return, they get humanitarian support. And I was told by great people dealing with human rights in Geneva, it's unrealistic to let them hold the stick on both sides, So the way to go, and this is the law actually, was tackle them with the humanitarian issue. This is the law. No one should provide humanitarian support to the one that violate the humanitarian law. It doesn't work. Only in Gaza.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, I mean, throughout the period of the war, you could see criticism against Israel for withholding. There were even withholding humanitarian aid, and there were even leaks of discussions with the various American administrations saying, we will give you support for the war as long as you allow humanitarian aid to go in. And unfortunately, that overlooked the plight of your family and of many others. I do want one final question before we move on to the next segment. Looking forward, while all the hostages are back now, the call now is for a state commission of inquiry. This is a Vadat Chakira Mamlachtit. But this government seems reluctant to appoint one according to the traditional format and is opting for a more political inquiry. How does this make you feel?
Look, we don't need any inquiry. We have it all. For us, everything is transparent. We saw things happening along our journey. There is no shame. People told us, we know about things. We know a lot of things that were happening and were the reasons for what we got on October 7th. We know. I mean, we don't need any inquiry. For us, the most important thing now is to institutionalize a way to handle this situation of abduction terror in the right way. Because the officials, the system, did not return Hadar. Good people returned Hadar. It's not the system. They didn't learn anything. We were lucky to have all these soldiers in Gaza that knew in person Hadar, and for them, it was their mission was to return our brother back home. You know, so for us, inquiry is not very critical now. What is critical now is to resolve the problems we experienced after October 7. Of course, it's happening in the country. But on top of everything, from what we have learned and experienced, is how to tackle a kidnapping situation, which is still there. Mm-hmm. It's still there. It's not gone. And unfortunately, we can see that from the officials' point of view, they finished. They closed all this group managed by Nitzan Alon, you know, to deal with hostages. Like
the IDF representative for the hostages.
Yeah, there is no problem anymore, you know. And actually, it's like for us, it's very annoying because it's like going back to August 1st and along the 9 years that no one was responsible to return the hostages. Mm-hmm. So this is something we are in process now of documenting and connecting people and trying to establish a strategy and a way of doing things. And even my son Tzur is now doing his master's in Harvard. And his thesis is on abduction terror. Mm. And
well, maybe he'll be able to drop the playbook that Israel doesn't have. And yes. as you say, this is an open threat that could, unfortunately,
it's waiting.
Challenge
it's waiting around the door, and we have to be aware and not fall asleep. It's not over yet because the terror is there, Hamas is there. Iran all their supporters are still in power, and I'm happy that officially we are in a ceasefire, you know. But it's our soldiers are still there.
Yeah, it could be misleading this quiet, and we need to look vigilantly at the future. I want to move on to the last part of the show. This is the rapid fire segment. I'm going to show you 3 pictures, and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind. So the first picture, this is your appearance at the Knesset committee in 2017. During that session, you accused Prime Minister Netanyahu of making you, the Goldin family, enemies of the people.
Yeah. 2017 at the Knesset, where they presented the Mevaker Hamdina, I don't know the word, report about the tunnels in which Hadar was kidnapped and was held for 11 years. And actually, during this discussion, it was clear that they had no idea about these tunnels. And our prime minister was trying hard to present Operation Protective Edge as a victory. And I said, you cannot talk about victory while my son and Ron Shaul are still held hostages in Gaza. And, I cannot look at myself. This was very, very difficult because I didn't plan to talk at all. It was so spontaneous, my reaction, while Miki Zohar and David Bitan tried to shut me down,
Yeah, it's a very powerful clip, and because you say it's hard to look at this,
it's hard for me to look
so
at
we'll
myself.
We'll move on to the next picture. This is IDF Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir saluting Hadar during his funeral.
Dear Eyal Zamir, we walk with Eyal Zamir, our Chief of Staff, IDF Chief of Staff, since day one. During August 2014, Eyal Zamir was the attaché at the Prime Minister office. So actually, this was the first time we met him, and he was our contact person. Amazingly, no one after him did such a good job like he did in listening to us, give us answers, and now and then along the way, he always updated us, no matter what job he had. And in the funeral, his speech was amazing in sense of understanding Hadar, quoting Hadar from Mesilat Yesharim, his remarks to Mesilat Yesharim. And it's the best chief of staff we ever had.
It sounds like quite a closed circle from 2014 to now.
Amazing.
With Eyal Zamir.
And we owe him a lot of thank you, because thanks to him, Hadar is home.
Now, as this is a different show than usual, I asked you to pick a photo of your choice with Hadar. Let's put that on the screen.
Wow.
This is you, Simcha, Hadar.
And Noga, my first granddaughter, daughter of Ayelet. This is at Chemi's wedding on 2013. It was the last, it's a big, amazing event, because Chemi is a dancer, so the whole thing was dancing. And it was actually the last time. It was the whole family there. Because then Hadar was not there. And Noga, I think she was 2 years old. She was in love with Hadar. And she called him my darling, Yakiri. That's how she called him. And look at Hadar smiling to her. It was a connection, without words.
I can understand.
And we are happy there.
I can understand why you chose this picture. Leah Goldin, there's no words to describe the admiration for your personal campaign throughout these 11 years. I am sorry that this reality was imposed upon you, but through your values and leadership as an individual, you taught us all a very important lesson in humanity and in peoplehood and in unity. I personally covered some of your campaigns, and to see you here after this, it is very, very moving. So I want to thank you for all that you have done so far and everything that you will do for the people of Israel moving forward. So thank you for coming. That is unfortunately all the time we have this week. I want to thank you again, Leah Goldin.
Thank you.
For your time and willingness to share your story. Join us again next week here at On The Record. You can find today's episode and all previous shows on YouTube and Spotify. Thank you for watching.